So in this video, I am going to reflect and break down all mechanics I have implemented in my artificial intelligence projects for the semester too. So I was trying to do a pathfinding mechanic that would work in a 2D platformer environment, and I successfully achieved that. It does take quite a lot of time to compile. I am going to explain why this is happening and um, how to optimize this using just variables from the code. Um, Longer time just means the mechanism will be just a little bit more precise, and it will check for multiple jumps. So how this works, the player character will instantly go to all diamond points. This is the ending point in game, and automatically find the path from its current position to the end position. And once the diamond is reached, another one will appear. If it appears like on the top of the map where it can't be collected from, then the diamond will respawn automatically after just a few seconds. So how did I do it? Starting from, I had to do a navigation mesh, similarly to when during the semester one task was to use already existing navigation mesh that was creating tiles, and they could either collide with the environment or could be empty, assigning the tile it is walkable, could be terrain that player could actually move there to reach the destination. Similarly to this, I have done level map script that creates tiles for each colliding tile in the environment. Uh, Obviously, the environment is painted by using the tile palette. Then the script just detects where the collisions are. I mentioned at the beginning the script could be optimized. So how this works, the map will automatically try to find the edges and walkable surfaces. So I am going to show in a scene in a little bit. The platforms will be assigned as left edge, right edge, the middle, so between the edges, or the single tile, so such like this, which is playing essentially a role of left edge and right edge at the same time. Takes a little bit to load. We're gonna minimize this in a little bit. So in a scene, we'll see the tiles will have their assignment. So this is the middle type, this is the right edge type, this is the left edge, and this is gonna be a single tile because there's nothing to jump or walk on the left or right, right? The other type is invalid type, and this could be either terrain or just a surface. And we also have jump connections that I am going to explain in a little bit. So all tiles are connected with each other. So all those tiles can be walked on. So if there's a present tile on the left and the right of the object, it could be dropped to. So for example, this is gonna create a dropping connection as a straight line, and at last a jumping connection, which was most difficult to implement, sorry, in a script. Walk connection was simply checking if there's a walkable tile beneath the middle or left edge tile if it's on the left side, and right edge tile if it's on the right side, and then the connection is automatically made. Drop similarly, just the the left edge or right edge or single tile. In single tile, the direction will be checked on both cases. Right edge will just check if there is any tile beneath until there is obviously a bound of the map. If there is nothing to drop on, then the connection will not be detected. If there is a tile, the drop connection will be added. Now to optimization part. So from each tile, there is several checks that are made for depending on the player's character horizontal velocity, max horizontal velocity, and max jump speed. So each tile that is walkable will shoot 19 times horizontal checks and 14 times jump check. So for example, the velocity will start from 0 into the 1 divided by 19, then 2 divided by 19, then 3 divided by 19, etc., etc., of the max horizontal speed. So the jumps will look like this. And then it's going to do the same with the height. So they're going to be higher, 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 with checking different horizontal velocities. And each dot jump will check whether during the jump there's anything colliding with the player character before they start falling. If yes, then obviously player collided with the tile and the jump connection is discarded. Or if it's falling down, if it actually hit the middle of the tile, or if it's just like hit like this, if hit like the tile very far away from it, from the center, then the jump is also discarded because for the accuracy reasons, this needs to be close so the player doesn't fall off and then just loses its path and the whole algorithm just collapses. So the jumps are precise and checked several times per second. So if I decrease it or checks per second, it is just basically gonna mean the jumps are gonna be checked in a little bit less frequent way, a little less precise way, which will still detect most of the jump connections. We can actually experiment with this. Checks per second, basically how the pathing of the jump is calculated. I use the algorithm for calculating way in accelerating movement. So starting with velocity 0, which is the jumping movement, and then the each connection on the graph will be checked several times per second until the player hits something. So it's just gonna create that nice graph depending on the standard velocity of the gravity, standard acceleration, and obviously starting velocity of the player's jump. So let's say we're gonna do maybe 12 and then let's do 8 and just 6 times per second. This will load significantly quicker. But at the same time, not all jumps will actually be checked because some velocities could potentially be not hitting the center of the tile. So, for example, if this jump hit somewhere like this, because there are less checks, then the whole jump will be discarded. So we can see there is no connection from this tile to this tile. There are some connections from here to here, but not the other way around. So when the diamond appeared here, the player just didn't find the diamond. A lot of them will be discarded, unfortunately, for the reason the jumps are just not connected between the tiles efficiently. So this is required for the appropriate working. Center gravity acceleration changed here because the player character rigid body gravity scale is changed to this, so automatically this calculates the the velocity for the graph checking. So unfortunately we need to come back to this and then change it back so the jumps are actually detected efficiently. So that's this. So that's the navigation mesh, creating all the connections between the tiles. Now for the pathfinding part. Player will automatically check the pathfinding pretty much exactly the same way as A-star algorithm for the, I just noticed, for the first semester assignment. So it will always check the best tile from the open list, so the lowest F cost, so distance in a vector way plus X plus Y, plus the distance that the player had to make to reach that particular tile. So there's open list and closed list, and there's also one more list which is called emergency list, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. So player will always check for all connections, for platform connections, for drop connections, and then finally jump connections, trying to find the best possible way to make a next move. And based on that, the whole path is found until the final diamond is reached, then another path is automatically created. Now, there are 3 different modes for the final point to be reached. Player character can move in 3 different ways. So, with jumping allowed, all jump connections are automatically added to the open list. So, they're all counted into checking the best possible jump will always be implemented. So for example, if there's connection jump between this and this, for example, like this, if the player finds the proper velocity, it will land like this and then try to obviously get this diamond straight away. There is short jump on edges mode, which will basically allow player to only jump from right edge into left edge or right edge into single tile, so for example from here to here, trying to make the jumps look like they are made in a little bit smoother way rather than skipping everything, jumping from platform to platform, platform to platform, if those connections exist. And try not to jump is the way of player moving. If there is any connection, for example, starting from here to here, where the player can just continue dropping and walking through the platforms to reach the final point, then use this path. If not, then obviously the jumping needs to be implemented instead to reach the final destination. How does it work? So with jumping allowed, all connections are added to open lists. But with try not to jump and short jump on edges, some of the jumps, or all of them, in a case of try not to jump, are added to emergency list. In case of short jump on edges, all jumps that are not started from the right edge into single tile, or left edge into single tile into right edge, and left into right edge, will be added to emergency list. So the game will always check for best node in open list, and we'll check all of them until the final destination is found. But if the open list runs out of nodes to check, then and only then the game will check from the emergency list the best node. So despite the fact, for example, if player starts from here and the destination is here, it will always check for every single path in that platform because it cannot drop anywhere, so it will just go for the all connections that are on the same platform, just over here. For emergency list, though, there's gonna be a jump, and it's gonna look like this. It's gonna have the best cost probably. So after that, the emergency list tile, the best one, will be added to open list, and then the check will be continued from there. The emergency jump will be added from the open list, and it automatically adds those 2 walkable tiles to the open list as well. They'll be checked again if the destination is reached, if the diamond is here instead. It wasn't. You need to check for another jump, which is going to be this one. It's the best one. You've got other jumps here, 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 but we'll also always check the best one. Transfer it from the emergency list into the open list and then check for all best open connections. And that's pretty much it. I can present it in scene in between, but with other variables, the horizontal speed, jump speed, this is the maximum velocity for the player. Acceleration and friction deceleration is only for the tile connections where the player slowly builds up velocity, well, quickly builds up the velocity into its maximum one, and then the acceleration when it slowly slows down into nothing and then just goes into the dropping connection, slows down and then just drops. It doesn't uh, implement its functionality in the jumps. The jump is automatically transferred. It is caused if the player misses the tile, it will just absolutely discourage it from going any further. So that was the only issue I had to deal with. So as we can see, all tiles have the connections. The green ones drop connections, white ones platform connections, red ones jump connections that are going on the left side, and yellow ones jump connections that go on the right side. So all tiles are included. Again, if player was positioned here, and because player's collision is quite big, and it would be going with consistent right velocity, it will just smack to that tile. So this jump connection won't be added at any point because we'll either hit this or hit this on its way. So those tiles will definitely not be reached during the gameplay. Say ups this, there's no possibility of jumping here. But anything else is just pretty much finding the way automatically. And the player tries not to jump at the moment. It could drop. Now it has no choice. It has to go for the jumping movement to reach the diamond. Again, have to go for jumping movement. I'll try to see one more time where the player has to actually drop, preferably. It jumps, but as long as it reaches this, it will just keep dropping instead of jumping straight away into it. So that's try not to jump. Initially, I checked jumping allowed, so this is just gonna perform all jumps. Short jump on the edges as the last mechanism. Tween, I'm just gonna reflect. So I'm pretty happy with making this work because the navigation mesh took a lot of time to research how to actually do it. There is no automatic way of doing this. I thought the navigation mesh would normally work as if like from top-down perspective into the 2D platformer environment, but because of the jumping mechanism, it's completely opposite. So I had designed from the scratch. That's the reason why there's not a lot of other AI elements. It's just pathfinding, which I am aware is not a lot. I was excited to add some other elements, for example, um, trap detection when it's like spikes or moving traps. So the player calculates the velocity of the trap and then tries to predict when it's going to be on the next path tile and just stop before that trap is about to reach. But I just purely didn't have time. So I'm happy at least the pathfinding is working pretty well in my opinion. It's smooth and it doesn't have any errors. I've checked it several times. It should be working as intended. And just to say, as we can see, the player doesn't jump over. For example, perform this jump. He always starts jumping from this edge into this edge. So tries to do for that extreme connections, as you can see. Then we'll walk here, and then walk here, and then walk here, or even straight away. Skipped one. But yeah, essentially just goes for that sharp edge. I wanted to add this for the reason of lack of the AI components, so at least the designers have a choice of implementing some additional um, futures. So I'm happy about the results, although I think I could do a little bit more with just about a little bit more time. I was just not aware of I was not planning to design the whole navigation mesh component, which was problematic to just think of. The designing part was quite straightforward. It's just thinking of way of doing it. That took ages, and then pathfinding did have a lot of errors with player missing the tiles or not detecting the other one or taking the wrong velocity of the jump and just completely not showing um, why they did this. So just finding ways of debugging it was also quite problematic. But despite this, that's the video, that's the reflection breakdown of the mechanism, and I hope you appreciate my work. Thank you.